You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
We are 1 minute late, but it's not my fault. It's our special guest's fault, and we're going to talk about why he was late, and maybe we'll get to his Kickstarter. We'll talk about a whole bunch of other things. So stick around. You're watching Kickin It With Onrie, the live crowdfunding show.
For years, I have traveled the world slinging my creator-owned comics at the biggest and hottest cons. Now I'm sitting down with creators who have active crowdfunding campaigns happening right now, and I'm opening the gateway so that you can connect with them and support their work. You're watching Kickin It With Onrie, the live crowdfunding show.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Angry Ted. You're watching Kickin It With Onrie, the live crowdfunding show. I'm your host, Onrie Kompan, and I'm bringing back one of my favorite people of all time. He doesn't look very happy in this picture, but I assure you right now when we bring him on screen, he's going to have a big smile on his face. Please welcome Ted Mother Effin' Sikora! Yes. You look real happy. That's your J. Jonah Jameson's line. You put the mic back in, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You totally put the mic back in.
No, is it working?
No, it's not. It's worse.
Really?
You sound like Darth Vader after Obi-Wan cut his helmet open. And
what is going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's just we're not getting?
Yeah, it's just how it is now. It's And speaking of Obi-Wan, I just want to let everybody know that this guy ruined the last 10 minutes of it for me.
Yeah, because Onrie watches a movie 5 minutes at a time and then talks about it for like 15 minutes, and then he goes back into it. So like 3 hours later, I thought he had finished this one single episode. And I said, boy, I really like the ending when blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, thanks a lot, Ted. Like,
You really did ruin it for me. I mean, like, at that last 10 minutes, like, a lot happened there that I just didn't see coming. I mean, I don't think anybody could have seen it coming. All right, well, anyway, we're not here to talk about how you ruined Obi-Wan Kenobi for me. We're also not here to talk about our hotel experience in Heroes Con, which was super epic. Maybe we'll get to that. The real reason why you're taking time out of your busy schedule is because you are running a really awesome Kickstarter campaign right now for your signature series, or one of your signature series, the book that started it all for Hero Tomorrow Comics, Apama the Undiscovered Animal. So can you tell us all who Apama is, and maybe Kyle, if we can get a link to his campaign, and let's hear what Ted has to say. Oh, wow, Ted. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm fascinated. Your mic sucks. There. Here, let me be the voice for Ted. Hey, Onrie, I want to buy you dinner. I wish I could get my mic fixed, but I want to buy you dinner, Onrie. All right, Ted will be right back. And I guess I'll tell you guys. Yeah, well, he's trying to get his whole mic thing going. So, JD, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Yeah, Ted's one of my favorite people in the business, and he's actually like my go-to guy. So as soon as he gets his stuff together, which will probably take forever, he's probably busy right now trying to expand on a convention floor somehow, seeing where he can take up extra space and expand his vulture-like wings. They almost cast him as the vulture, but then they realized that Michael Keaton is a much better actor, and so they cast Ted aside. So it's unfortunate. That's what happens. They were going to cast me to play Tarantula, man. I was going to play Tarantula. Oh, hey. You're back.
I moved closer to my router, so maybe it wasn't reaching. Is this sounding okay?
You sound way better now. I was telling you all about how you were almost cast as the vulture, but then they realized you had no acting ability, and so you decided
the world will learn to respect a man with wings.
And expendable convention banners. All right. We asked you a very important question, which you, of course, dodged, like always. Tell us about Apama the Undiscovered Animal, please.
Sure.
I'm asking nicely this time.
All right. So Apama was our first book, and it was the place from which we introduced the Tap Dance Killer, Regina, who was the star of Bloom. And then it was within Tap Dance Killer, we introduced Punchline, the original. And so we have, this 12th issue of Apama coming out, but we're also doing a campaign where we realize a lot of people haven't read all of Apama, so you can get the entire 1 through 12 for a pretty good price. What it is about is an ice cream truck driver on the west side of Cleveland who unlocks the spirit force of the most savage beast mankind has never known and becomes this ragtag superhero. What people like about Apama, from what I've heard in reviews and podcasts and things, it reminds them of classic Marvel, but you're not trying to catch up with like 70 years of history, and you're following a guy who drives an ice cream truck. It's quite different than a brilliant Peter Parker, wealthy Tony Stark, or a Logan type. All the villains, they're introduced one at a time, very organically. So you're not trying to, it's just that not having to play catch up, which is, one of the problems I think with the big two.
And honestly, Ted, from the moment I met you at Baltimore Comic-Con in 2015, I was jealous of what you were doing. And I was also, not only was I wouldn't say jealous, I was more impressed by the fact that you had figured out how to do that. It's like you took all the best from what worked for Marvel during the Silver and Bronze Age, and you brought it into modern comics with this character. And he truly is the most, underrated character that you've got in your universe compared to Tap Dance Killer and Bloom. But this is the character that brings it all together. And so now you got, what do we got going on Kickstarter right now?
Well, it's I just posted the link. I see some people in the chat saying that it maybe not be the right link, so I did just send it on the private chat. So if that link could be copied over to the comments.
Oh, there he is. He's ordering you around, Kyle. See, this is the kind of guest I brought on this week.
Oh, how about posting the right link, Onrie? That would be handy.
Hey, that's the short link Kickstarter gives us when we go to your page and click share.
Well, JD Smith, digital artist.
Right. No, Kickstarter's broke. I just tried it from 3 other Kickstarters, and they're all the same short link. Kickstarter's broke.
Well, why not?
There's the correct link.
Post the big link, because here's where we are at 99 backers right now. So I will, if we get to 100, we'll unlock a stretch goal, like the Apama bookmark, I believe it is.
I'm gonna, and that is, I'll tell you what, Ted, you and I are good buddies. I'm happy to be backer 100 right now.
Oh,
and just do this and just take care of it right now. Because I like to do that. I like to reach new milestones every single time.
All right, man.
I have a guest on the show. So walk me through this. You got a lot of great rewards here. Tell me what I'm buying right now.
Okay.
Or what you think I should go with.
Do you want to share your screen, or how would that work?
Oh my God. How do we do this, Kyle? I don't think I've ever had a more demanding guest on my show ever. All right, I'm going to share my screen right now. All right.
Yeah, Uncle Lloyd is in this. So what happened is I was one day driving by a mattress shop, and they had the guy in the gorilla suit with the big sail holding the sign. And it really seemed like something that our superhero Apama could get roped into. So the premise of issue 12 is he's reading the newspaper. There's something that happens with his family, and they're giving him am I allowed to swear?
No.
They're giving him shit about being
I said no. You were not allowed to.
Oh, you meant the real. Okay. So they're giving him crap about being
You're not allowed to say crap either. God.
They're giving him a very difficult time. Am I allowed to say that, Onrie? They're giving him a difficult time? Because they're giving him a difficult time about driving an ice cream truck for a living.
On this show.
It's kind of like, it'd be like if somebody was trying to sell comic books, you'd get crap about it. Well, he's getting crap about, driving an ice cream truck. And so he goes and looks at the want ads, because Ilya doesn't have a phone. Our guy doesn't even have a cell phone. So he's a guy who reads the paper, and in the paper it says, Apama, I want to pay you $1,000. And he just figures, oh, this must be some grateful citizen who I saved and wants to reward me. He goes to the address, and it's this mattress place, and it's Lloyd Kaufman, trauma mastermind, indie, filmmaker extraordinaire, inspiration to us all. Well, is everything okay? Audio?
Yeah, no, everything's good.
Okay.
We just had Kenneth.
Some said mute or something. Okay. So he gets in there, and the guy, and Lloyd is not Lloyd Kaufman, the filmmaker. This is a multiverse version of Lloyd where he is a mattress salesman. And so his name is still Lloyd. And he's like, man, I've been hoping you'd show up, and it's gonna be great working together with you. And Apama's like, well, wait a minute, I'm just here for like a reward. He goes, nah, I had to get you in here, but he goes, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna sign some autographs at my big sale, couple hours. When it's all done, I'll pay you $1,000. And Apama, at first he's aggravated, but then he's like, I'm never gonna see $1,000. So he takes him up on it, and what could go wrong? That's the issue.
That's the premise of the issue.
Yes.
Now, what I really love about this campaign, Ted, is that you're giving everybody a chance to catch up on the entire series. We're in 12 issues so far, this being the 12th issue. So for anybody who's new to the series, obviously, are they going to be able to just pick up this issue and read that, or are they going to have to read all the other issues to really kind of know what's going on?
We've got a great deal on the entire run, and they're all first print still. So, you could just read this issue if you're a Lloyd Kaufman fan. You want to just check this out. We do the old adage that every comic is somebody's first comic, and we try to make it so that you can just jump in anywhere. I think you'll really dig the series, though. I mean, I think we've got, we wouldn't have done Apama if we didn't have something new to say in the comic book world. I don't think there is an alter ego guy like our Ilya, where he, he's based on guys I used to change tires with at my father's shop when I was growing up. My dad had a tire store, and I was working there for years, and the dudes were hilarious, and Ilya is that kind of guy. So, there's a lot of what, and you can also add on, of course, Tap Dance Killer, the hardcover, or Bloom, the whole set of Bloom. And we also sell stuff on our website, of course, at herotomorrow.com.
So, you talk about Bloom and Tap Dance Killer. All of these characters originate from what you built in Hero Tomorrow Comics. And what I think is so fascinating about what you're doing, which is really kind of what's inspiring me with what I'm doing now with Warline, is you've created this universe, and you're really kind of like building around it and jumping around. Like Bloom takes place before Apama, and features a character that's going to show up later in that series. But also Tap Dance Killer, it's kind of like in synchronicity with everything. And then you got Punchline too. Let's not forget that. You owe us all Punchline too.
It's being working on right now.
Oh, right now you're working on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why you look so angry that you have to stop and be here.
I broke away from layouts and writing, and it's really we're getting ready for San Diego Comic-Con. First time I'm doing that show as an exhibitor, and there's just a lot to juggle right now. But why not do a Kickstarter the same month, right?
Well, that's the only way to do it. But I kind of want to continue our conversation that you and I were having earlier today, because as I was saying when you were fixing up your mic to everybody, that you're the guy I come and talk to about stuff. We share rejection stories at conventions.
The funniest ones, yeah.
The funniest ones, yes, of course. And we commiserate together all the time.
Absolutely.
And there's no one I would rather do it with, and no one I respect more in the business. Which is why when I have something on my mind, you're usually the first person I think to talk to about it. Now,
I appreciate that. Same here, man. We talk every couple days at least, just to,
absolutely.
And
here's the thing. keep something I think you and I are currently kind of trying to figure out is why comics. I can't say that this is the most financially rewarding field, particularly given how much work actually goes into it. Yet both you and I are compelled to stay in this industry and put a lot of our efforts into not only putting out books that we care about, and as artists, I think that we really respect the medium and we really want to give our best work. And I can honestly say, guys, for anybody who hasn't read any of Ted's books, this is a guy who really studies his craft and wants to get better. He is always looking for critiques from top talent in the industry so that he can get better at what he's doing. And you can see the improvement over the years for sure. I think Bloom is one of your best titles to date. The layouts in that book are just out of this world. Why are we still? Why are we doing this, dude?
Well, I think for me, it's like there's got to be. There's always been a creative outlet, and I think my background started with I wanted to be a comic book artist in high school, but then I started playing guitar and I got into bands. Bands became a concept album that we did called Nothing Like Vaudeville, which then became a musical. After that, we made a feature film called Hero Tomorrow, which is what our company is named after. Like, there's always, for me, there's going to be some project going on. And once I hit comics, when I came back to comics in a way, it has stuck the longest in terms of what I just feel like I can do whatever I want on the page. It's not like making a film where there's so many compromises and you have to have so many other people involved. With comics, with Bloom, there were only two of us, and we really just, put our nose to the grindstone. And I think we can make in comics, if we take our time and we do things right, we can do stuff that is every bit as strong as the best things that are put out. Where with film, you're not going to be able to compete really with the big budget stuff. And I think comics are a really level playing field. So that's what I love about it.
But yet, you and I were just talking about that. It's like, you were talking about money, like it's really kind of like Moneyball. Like, for example, when you're getting artists and you want to get the best artist, and I'm just going to say it because I'll openly admit that I think the same way. You want to get the best artist for the best value. Yeah. And you're not going to, you and I are not going to be able to hire, someone who's like a top artist at Marvel. But, I saw what you did with getting Ron Friends to do that really beautiful, my favorite Bloom 4 cover, which I'm not selling because I just love it so much.
Thanks, bud.
But, there's that too, which I think, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it is. It's, I think it was, it really hit me just this last weekend when I was at Fan Expo Chicago. And that's when we were talking about how we're like the small market baseball team, and you're out there competing with the Yankees, and their payroll is going to be, 10 times yours, and how are you going to get the team together that's going to be able to compete with that? And so we're going around Artist Alley. I'm looking at artists all the time, and trying to find people that I think can do a really, a cool cover, and I personally, the name of an artist, when I'm doing shows, almost everybody who comes up to my booth, they don't know a lot of the big name artists. They're just there for the convention. They're into comics and toys or whatever. So when I'm telling them about my book, it doesn't matter who I tell them made this cover. If they like the cover, they buy it, and I mean, that's 90%. I'd say it might even be 5% of people that really asking about who did this cover or whatever. And we've had, I've had like Tula Lote do a cover. You know, and
Oh, of course, you're going to bring up Tula Lote. Every time
yeah, well, Onrie was to get the metal versions of those signed.
Which I did.
Yes, he did. And then he sent them back to me, and somebody dropped them, and like every metal cover had a dent in it, and I had to rerun the whole thing. So now I have them, but they're not signed. I guess
I did not do anything with it. I may have.
I know you didn't drop it. I know it wasn't you.
Threw it at a few people who didn't want to buy my book. I was like, "You don't want to buy my book? Here, take this metal cover to your face."
Yes. So anyway, hey, we are at 100 backers. Thank you.
Thanks to me. That's thanks to me.
That's thanks to you. All right, buddy.
I honestly, I think I earned a free dinner here. If you think Onrie deserved a free dinner for, being Ted's 100th backer, say it in the comments right now. Ted can afford to spend more on Onrie's dinners. That's how it goes. And Ted loves it too. Here, I'll show you a picture of him buying me dinner. See, this is what it looks like. See how happy he looks here? And just compare it to how he looks over on the other side. He doesn't look very happy on the other side. He looks more embarrassed. But here he looks very happy.
Okay.
I don't know water. I like it.
Exactly.
I want red lobster bread.
Thank you, Kyle. Yeah. He Onrie, is just so insistent on he loves to like pay for a rat trap room and then have you buy all the dinners.
You booked the last hotel, by the way, which you don't have a future in travel booking.
Oh man,
I don't think either. I don't think either of us are allowed.
This hotel was we get into our room. There's still water in the bathtub. There's ashes on the table. Onrie goes to just sit down on the edge of the bed, and it goes like the whole bed like tips up like it was missing a leg, and that's how it started. And they lost his 500 pounds of books that they sent. Who loses 500 pounds of books?
And they tried to throw me out of the hotel too.
The guy, it was his first day, and he says, "Get out of my hotel," to Onrie. My hotel is his first day. That was so epic. I mean, that is everywhere we go from now on. Get out of my hotel.
And that same night, that was when Ted ruined the last 10 minutes of Obi-Wan for me.
Yes. Well, they did give us another room.
Oh, yeah. The second room was even better.
Well, yeah, it actually was.
The keys never worked. So every time we'd be like done with the show. And like
we go down there and we're like, hey, the key's not working. And the guy's like, what room are you in? We've never seen this person before. He just gives us another key. Like we could have been anybody, he just, don't leave valuables in your hotel room. Thankfully nothing happened, but this is what goes on.
Well, there was another great part to this too. So the hotel was called the Baymont by Wyndham. And by Sunday night, I was like, I think I know what they mean. Because Ted was like, I don't understand. This is like a 3-star hotel. And was it like 3 out of 10 stars?
3 out of 10, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's 3 stars. I mean, come on, this should be a really good hotel. So, it was he's like, this is owned by Wyndham. Like, what the heck is going on here? And it, even the card, it said Baymont by Wyndham. And then finally on Sunday night, I got it. It's the Baymont, and right by it is the Wyndham. So it's Baymont.
And we don't pronounce the T because it's so fancy. It's the Baymont.
It's the Baymont. And what, I guess, is this the rock star life? I mean, no, I really got, no, it's not. Because they at least trash like expensive hotels.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to trash at the Baymont.
It's already been done before we got there.
Yeah. Anyway, back to comics.
I deserve a nice juicy 7-Eleven hot dog from you for being your 50th backer.
I think that is well within reason. And next time we get together in New York, you will get a hot dog.
I like New York hot dogs.
I travel enough that I have incredibly specific hotel rules.
Oh, he does. He absolutely does.
I mean,
Kyle does not mess around with hotels. When I went to go visit him, I was staying at like one of the nicest hotels that I've ever stayed at a convention. And I think that's the challenge of it, but here, oh, go ahead, Kyle.
The way hotel rules work is if the heiress of the hotel chain has ever been photographed getting out of a car not wearing enough clothes, it's a good hotel to stay at.
There probably weren't pictures like that of the BAMO. That would have been helpful information.
But it did have a 3-star review. That's all.
It did have a 3-star rating, yes. I mean, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 3 out of 4 is even better.
3 out of 10, though.
3 out of 10.
The other 5 stars were missing, or stars. They were just hiding underneath. They were invisible stars. They got an A for they got a B for effort. But okay, all right. So here we're doing these shows, and I asked you a question earlier. Are we doing this to make money or to build our fan base? And we never got a chance to really, explore that. And I see here you are doing your Kickstarter right now, and I honestly, I'm envious of you with your Kickstarter. I think you're doing great. It's really amazing, and you've made your goal, your initial funding goal. But where do you hope to see yourself? Like, what do you hope to? What's the end game with this campaign? Like, where do you really want to see it land by when all is said and done?
Really, when COVID hit and everything shut down, we had typically we released our books through Diamond, and then also sold them to conventions, and that's where we ended up getting into the black. But without conventions, there really was no path to make money, because we don't make enough on our Diamond sales to pay for everything, not even close. So I thought, well, why don't we do a Kickstarter, and we'll also offer it in the preview guide at the same time. And that's what we did with Punchline #1, and it was really successful for us. And then with Bloom, every single issue, it was a 4-issue series, we put in the preview guide. We did a Kickstarter campaign at the same time, and then conventions started happening again too. So now we've got 3 income streams, and that's how we're going to do it from now on. I was kind of concerned that some retailers might be salty on it, but I haven't heard anything like that. In fact, the retailers I've spoken to directly about it have said, you got to do what you got to do. And our biggest campaign had 400 backers. That's not eating a huge chunk of what these retail stores are, that's not their customer base. Yeah.
But speaking of that though, Ted, there's something to be said about what you've done on the direct market level. You have numbers that bigger publishers would kill for, and I'm not going to go into the details here, but Ted's done very well on the direct market level in terms of distributing his books. His numbers trump some of the the other publishers that we know that are out there right now. And I remember when you were initially pushing that initiative. I mean, you called up how many stores? Like 1,000?
I think I called 1,000 stores right when we did our Bloom. Tap Dance Killer #1, and it.
What did that conversation sound like? I'm just curious to know.
Oh, well, the nice thing about it was preview guide, when Tap Dance Killer 1 came out, they made me the featured indie comic creator of the month. So like page 7 and 8 or whatever, right at the front of the book, I had a 2-page spread interview. And I was able to say, hey, my name's Ted. I'm the featured indie comic creator in this month's preview guide. And we have a new book called Tap Dance Killer coming out. And I wanted to make sure it was on your radar. And can I send you an email with a little more information, some sample pages and things, so you can get a sense of the quality? And almost every store was very receptive to that. And that's when that's right. That's when I met Kyle. All right. So yeah, it really, I think that, and some retailers even told me, you know what, because you actually made this call, He goes, no matter what you put out, I'll never think of it the same way, because you were a person I've had a conversation with. You had that initiative to call me. And so, you know, I think I wish I had the ability to kind of do more of that throughout the year with every release we do or something. But, you know, there's just no time. And in fact, this campaign is it's been pretty neglected in terms of the campaigns I've done in the past, just because there's been so many shows getting ready for San Diego. But this is the month we're in the preview guide. So I was going to do it come hell or high water. And, you know, luckily we have enough of a following that we were able to hit our goal really quickly. So anything we get now is going to just add, you know, value to the book. But we did make it. And I don't know that I can do a lot of interview shows like this, unfortunately.
Oh, so you're gracing us with your presence. I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yes, you're one of probably 3.
And the way he says it too, with almost literally scoffing, as he said, one of 3.
You're one of 3. I don't know what to say. I'm telling the truth. I don't have freaking time. You know, San Diego is like a 5-day show. Plus, you got to get there and get back, and you know.
Yeah. So I mean, all right, San Diego Comic-Con's coming up.
And you've done it, right?
I've done it.
A bunch of times.
Yeah, a bunch of times, but not at the capacity that you're doing at. Meaning that when I do San Diego Comic-Con, I'm set up with a dealer. They bring all my books over. I basically sublet 2 feet of space, and I'm selling from there. You got your whole setup there. You got a whole booth, and so you know you got a lot. You got a lot of logistics going into the show, which I'm sure are really frustrating. So let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con, because it's obviously on your mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it coincides with what you're doing on your Kickstarter. And I think that you're going to find a lot more success by finding a way to kind of merge your presence at Comic-Con and leverage that to your advantage. So I guess the first question I have is what is your goal for San Diego Comic-Con? Like, what are you hoping to get out of doing it this year?
Having a deja vu. I'm not being sarcastic.
Yeah, sarcasm is not in Ted's.
Okay, what do I want out of San Diego? You know, we took out a full-page ad in the walk around program guide, which was it actually wasn't a bad price, I think, for what it was.
Yeah, you told me. I don't think it was a bad price at all.
I mean, I can say it was $850 for a full-page ad. And so, and I featured Tap Dance Killer, and so hoping to really sell a lot of copies of that. And also, you know, we also talked about quickly all the other characters we have, pointed out that this is one shared universe. And, you know, I know there's not many creator-owned studios that have a relationship with Diamond Distribution where everything is one shared universe. Like, I could probably think of a handful at the most. And because of that, like if somebody is looking to, you know, looking for a film type property or video game or whatever, you know, it's pretty simple to make a deal with us because it's all connected. So yeah, we're hinting at that in that ad a little bit. You know, I love making comics for the sake of comics. We talk about that all the time, but I do have a film background. You know, I came into this from writing musicals and making film, and I, you know, it's a natural to want to take really this whole world and do like a TV series with it or something like that. So that's one of the you know, longer term goals.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting too because you know. I was having conversations with Kyle about this. Obviously, I've been having conversations with you about it as well, about using the skills that we have developed making comics to bring that into outside fields, you know, because I love comics. I think we both love this industry very much, but I think we want to see our properties grow beyond the initial medium. We want to see our stuff get into film. And I know that's something that you've been really heavily focused on most recently, and something I've been always kind of skeptical of, because when I look at adaptation, I think of it as like building a house of cards, and while there's a fan in the room blowing directly at it, and you got to build the house of cards that's not going to get blown over by the wind from the fan. That's what it feels like to me, and it's like, well, that's kind of like a losing hand. So I'm trying to figure out how to unplug the fan before I start building the house of cards. I guess that's been my thing, and maybe I've not even doing that. And then there's another part of me that's like, maybe I just don't want to build the house of cards. I don't know. Like what's your take on it?
Well, I think it's super important that we get the joy of making comics for the sake of comics. As I said, like, I don't want to have every comic be like some calling card for a movie or something like that. And that way, if anything happens with it, great. If not, these comics are there forever. And one of the things I preach to people who are making comics is, put everything you can into every issue. Like, don't feel like this is good enough for now, my next one's going to be better. Like, if you make a great comic, you can sell it at shows for the rest of your life. And that is really valuable. And, with film, or TV, these things, they come and go, especially films and indie films, like the movies that won the Academy Award 3 years ago. I mean, gosh, can anybody even name them, So there's something really, and this isn't just me saying this, this is an industry thing. Like, films have kind of become disposable in a real kind of scary way. So
it was something else we were talking about. I remember, like, back in January, was the state of film and like where it's going and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I've, as a filmmaker, what I kept seeing happen was it got easier and easier to get the gear, and a lot more people were making movies, and because the gear was getting pretty good, the movies were okay, but then they weren't great. There's almost like this weird meeting in the middle, where like, I think a lot of top tier filmmakers decided they didn't want to make film anymore because there wasn't the big financial payoff or the longevity of a classic film. So they went into TV, and then on the lower budget films got higher in quality, but they're not like up here. So there just became a lot of mediocrity. I think a lot of mediocrity in the industry, and it's something we have to watch out with comics too.
Absolutely. And I remember the conversation. It was our comics going in that same, our indie comics going in that same direction, because for those same reasons, essentially. But that's of course that's not an attack on anyone, because I think comics are a great form of expression, and they truly are for everyone.
Yeah. I think what I see that is a little frustrating sometimes is there's not enough study of the craft, and I think whether it be film or comics, I think people are like, well, looks like I can make a comic, looks like I can make a movie, and you didn't really do the work of the masters, those, and not that you have to do live the same life they did, but you
all have to live like Stan Lee did.
But yeah, I mean,
expensive car.
If you look at John Romita, I mean, he spent years just doing romance comics that nobody ever hears about, or and that then all of a sudden he gets the gig to do Spider-Man, and he brings all this soap opera drama to it that made it soar, and it's like, because of who he was, it was because of all that stuff that he did. And you just take somebody who learns how to draw some characters and some backgrounds, and now they're going to be put on a comic book, but they don't have that extra something that's going to make it unique, and it's just, so then they're making a book that's, it looks like other comics and all that or whatever, but what's that extra hook? There's got to be that extra hook from the creative team, ideally.
Well, here's what I'm going to say, Ted. I'm going to quote what Tim Seeley said to me a number of years ago. If you want to make comics, make comics. You want to go make movies, go make movies. But don't get into comics hoping that you'll see a movie get made based on the success of your comic. And I think we both have seen that it's a lot of work taking your comic and trying to make it into a movie, getting other people to realize, like, hey, this is worth taking a chance on.
Mm-hmm.
And getting someone to front big money on something that really is known. Because if you really look at it, like Hollywood wants to go with surefire things. Now, I think if there's an independent book that becomes like really successful, and this is why I'm rooting for companies like Scout Comics and Source Point Press, is because they're connected with Hollywood in ways that maybe you and I aren't necessarily are. Certainly not me. And, being able to see one of those books get adapted and find success opens the floodgates for everything else. And a rising tide raises all ships. I'm a firm believer of that. And I do think that a lot of the independent books that are coming out, particularly from both of those publishers, are, these guys, a lot of the creators are basically just like you and me. They're really focused on the quality of their books, and they're doing it for the purpose of building of making good comics.
Yeah, I agree. Unless I noticed there's some comments here. JD Smith said he works in entertainment, and it's
amazing. You guys see what he's doing? He's trying to direct it. We're gonna go back and look at the comments here.
I mean,
that's my line, mofo.
All right. Well, far be it for me to do the job for you, but I think some of these comments need to be called out, and
All right, Ted, go ahead.
Go ahead, Onrie.
No. You're the guest. You're the guest.
No,
Casa. You go ahead and you go read.
JD Smith works in entertainment, and it's amazing how some people in creative positions haven't put in the work to learn their craft. And now we have a question from the desk of the small press publisher. Does that go back to understanding how to tell a story in the medium you chose? I mean, it definitely does. Yeah, you have to understand that. But but you can also experiment and sometimes really land on something very cool. So it's I mean, there's a lot of ways to tell stories. Like, I'm a big Onrie's been witness to an argument I was with another creator.
That was awesome. Hold on.
Yeah, and we were arguing, all these, script structure that you can study and all this stuff. And I know it works very well for some people. I've never wanted to do that, and it makes my head hurt to think about, like, sort of filling in these sort of beats based on what these script books say to do. And what I would argue is that people have been telling stories for thousands of years, and they didn't need script books to do it. And we need to allow ourselves time to develop our own storytelling techniques and our style, and that's that whole thing. It's like, what is that unique thing you are bringing? Because if you're just following the rules, then you're not bringing something new. I mean, but I'm not saying great films and comics can't be made following these rules. It happens all the time.
I'm laughing because of the moment. If you guys have seen Rushmore, it was like this moment was like straight out of Rushmore. Because if you guys remember, there was this part where the main character and Brian Cox got into a fight. Jason Schwartzman and Brian Cox got into a fight, and there was like a picture of Winston Churchill, and like you hear like thunder striking, and there's the picture. Well, literally while this conversation was happening, we were sitting in front of this painting, which is very controversial, by the way. And it is not a political statement here on this show, but this painting was in the background. And I heard the same thunder strike at that same time. It was like the same thing. The two of them were going back and forth, and I was kind of playing the media. I was like the mediator of this conversation because I see it from both perspectives. You know, the idea that a story needs to have a defined beginning, middle, and end, or needs the 3-act story structure, which, you know, that was what the entire conversation. Oh my God, I should have recorded it.
Well, I'm sure if you put us together again, it will happen again.
Actually, it can happen. It can happen, especially with that creator, you know, who
he's a good friend, and I'm not. I
really
no intention to throw him under the bus.
Oh yeah, Ted throws everybody else under the bus. He throws.
But I do say, but no intention.
That creator in the back of the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a night to remember. And the best part was we had New York pizza. It was like I literally could just sit back and watch you guys, you know, go through it. So Joe says, one of these days we will meet. I'm curious if Regina is going to make another return. Okay, so Ted, you can.
Oh, she is. If you look at our campaign, there is a cover. Regina has a cameo in this very issue, so she is a presence throughout Apama from issue 5 on. Issue 5 was her first appearance, and from that point on, she's been giving Ilya and Apama the worst time ever. So, yeah, I mean, if you want more Regina, make sure you've read Apama, and certainly the new one. Yeah, she's definitely involved.
That's interesting, especially considering where we last saw the character at the end of Bloom, and you know how much is going to change now. So, what's the next step with this? Is this book off to press now?
Pretty close. Yeah, I'm gonna do. I got to figure out what's going to fill out those extra pages, and you know that's some of the stretch rewards we'll hit as we go, but yeah, it's just getting it to finding a printer that can get it done in time for the Diamond release. That's kind of a little bit of a new challenge that we have now.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to give you a special shout out because it's thanks to you that we got our new version of Yusum Shin out there. You put me in touch with Avenue 4, and they did a really fantastic job.
Cool.
But there is a question that I had earlier that we never got an answer to, and it's mainly because I wasn't able to share my screen. And I was wondering if you could spend some time right now talking us through some of the different rewards that you're offering on this campaign. I know that JD he's working right now, but he's going to check the campaign later. He's got it bookmarked. Anybody else who might watch this show later might be interested in backing your campaign might want to know as well. So can you educate us a little bit?
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. So we give you, I show the video from our original Apama campaign so you get the whole idea about what this thing is about. How we met Lloyd Kaufman. We met Lloyd when we were showing our feature film Hero Tomorrow at the Fantasia Film Festival. And you get to see all the covers. So the cover one with Benito Gallego. Can I share my screen?
You can try to. Kyle, can he share his screen?
Let me see what happens. Share screen. Okay. Okay. Entire screen. Is this going to be like feedbacky?
So, okay, while you're trying to figure this out, I got a question for you. We've always talked about our favorite. Hold on.
Wow.
Excuse me. We got.
Let me know. Is this working? Can you see this?
No, we can. Okay, there we go. Now we can.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Walk us through it.
Okay. My battery power is down to 3 because I had to move. All right. So, like, this is our main cover. You see Lloyd Kaufman there as the mattress salesman, our Apama guy, and it's the return of our first supervillain. And I'm joined by Milo Miller and Benito Gallego. This is a cover B by Marcelo Basile. And I'm down to 1%. You know what? I'm going to go plug in. I got to move, but I'll keep that up, and we'll keep trying to talk. We'll see if that works.
It's working so far. Keep going. You can keep going.
Okay. And we did an homage cover to, Action Comics #1. Set it in Cleveland here.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a really nice cover.
Now, this is that group photo. So for the person who's asking about Regina, that is our person who did the Regina photo cover. So Alicia Lynn. And let's see, if I die, I will call you right back. But let's see if I can get it plugged in time. Because I'm at 1%. Oh, just made it.
Just in the nick of time.
So what I think is kind of cool about our thing, there's cosplay covers that are done all the time. This is not a cosplay cover. Like, this guy played Apama in the movie. This woman, Jocelyn Rozak, was the Vika character was made to look like her. Brian Jolovec, the villain, was made to look like him because we made the movie first. So these are people actually being themselves in a weird way. This cover, Jocelyn Rozak herself will be signing. So you can see Vika here. Is that image showing up?
Yes.
All right. So she's the Vika character is based on her, and she has a cover that will be signed. Now, her mother is in some financial need of medical expenses, and anything from anyone who adds this cover, all proceeds from this cover are going to go to her mother's medical expenses.
That's excellent. That is such a wonderful thing, Ted.
We have a new Apama.
The nicest thing you've ever done, aside from booking the Baymont Hotel.
We have a new Apama shirt design, and I love this. This is April Nicholas Couch, and oh my gosh, she did this lion shirt that I absolutely loved. And I said, I want the same treatment for our Apama character. And I bought this shirt 10 years ago, but I made this mental note and I reached out to her for this campaign. So this is going to be a kick-ass shirt. Soft, super soft fabric. We have an Apama 1 cover that was never released. So this is first print, and we waited until we did another Kickstarter, which has been years. But there were only 100 produced. Eddie Newell did the actual Apama animal. And it's a really badass cover. Is that able to be seen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is awesome.
We're going to be doing just 20 copies of the metal cover from April Nicholson Couch. And you can add the Hero Tomorrow movie, which is really from where all this stuff came from. Hero Tomorrow.
Fantastic movie, by the way. I really enjoyed that, Ted.
Thank you. And it was written by Milo Miller and myself. And then I directed it. We both produced it. This guy, David, is a struggling comic creator, and he designs Apama and to be his hero. And the premise is so many heroes are creature themed, but all the good ones were already taken. So he makes up an animal that's so powerful yet stealth, mankind is just yet to discover it. And it's the Apama. So his hero is the avatar of that. It's kind of the humor of the movie. It's a dark comedy, and he's always explaining kind of what an Apama is to people, and they don't get it. But his girlfriend's an aspiring fashion designer. She makes him a costume of his own character for Halloween. And then he goes nuts, running around in it, trying to fight crime, but with no superpowers. So,
and it's really, and Ted really criminalizes the use of marijuana in his film too.
Yes. And
it's really bad to use marijuana in Hero.
Well, she certainly thinks so.
Well, now it's moved on to crack cocaine.
Okay. And so the movie debuted at Comic-Con International. So this is like my return to it. That was back in 2006, actually. And then it played film festivals. And a lot of people who saw the movie said, there's really nothing like this Apama in comics. You ought to do it as a comic book. So we did the book that was in our main character's head, Apama, the Undiscovered Animal. And again, this is what the campaign is for. Apama, forget everything I just told you. This is about a Hungarian ice cream truck driver who unlocks the spirit force of the most savage beast mankind has never known and becomes this ripping superhero in Cleveland. So
he's the most inexplicable superhero of all time.
Yes, thank you to Jim Salicrup for that line. And what was so funny is he said, well, Onrie, this is what a great guy Onrie is. He brings Jim Salicrup, editor, extraordinaire, back when McFarlane was doing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. And he said, Jim, this is my friend Ted. I think you're going to like his book. It's kind of got a Bronze Age feel. So Mr. Salicrup, I give him a copy of Volume 1 of Apama, and the next day at New York Comic Con, he sits with me for over an hour and gives me like the Marvel critique. And it was just, to this day, like I tell people all the time, it was like the best hour of education I ever had. And our slogan at the time was from the jungle streets of Cleveland, Apama. And he was really, he's like, that's fine for Cleveland, and I know Cleveland has a vibe, but he goes, what else could you say about Apama quickly? And I said to Jim, I said, well, it was the thing about Apama is it was intentionally made to be a hard to explain idea in an independent film. So it's hard to come up with a line that's quick and easy. And he goes, then you know what Stan would have done? And he does the perfect Stan Lee impression. He goes, the most inexplicable superhero of all time. And I was like, oh my God, is that perfect? And if you could hear Jim do it in that Stan Lee voice, it was so great. And so that we changed it when we did the singles. And this is kind of a good example, I think, of, the kind of book Apama is, that it's not like the cities in the balance, they're in a neighborhood and this woman's screaming out the window, why don't you two jerk offs get a room? It's very kind of lowbrow. As I said, he's not.
You guys got to check this. You guys absolutely got to check this campaign out. And Ted, I hate to do this, but we are down to our last minute.
Okay.
So, everybody, you guys see this artwork? Wow, you see this infinite multiverse of Ted's Kickstarter.
All right, wait, let me get out of there. Stop screen share.
And we got one last question from Joe. How is David like Ramsey? Which is a great question, considering
it is a great question.
Both Apama and Regina.
Yeah, they're both struggling comic book creators, and the stories. So Apama has this dream of this. Ilya in the Apama series has the dream of the animal tournament where all the animals fought to determine who would be the king of the beast. And it's the Apama that wins, but chooses secrecy, to be hidden. Ramsey has the same dream. And instead of finding the cave with the Apama legend, he decides to make a comic book about it and accidentally makes his arch nemesis villain, Regina. So these comics are linked at the hip for sure. A bloom in Apama, that is.
And you guys can link yourselves to Ted's excellent campaign. Ted, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And thanks for
the comments and questions, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we will see you next week with a brand new episode. And have a wonderful weekend. I will see you guys next week.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.